Ready? 3, 2, 1. Welcome to Louisville, Kentucky. I have my friend Jason Creel.
Thanks for having me. Half the time I run a weed control and fertilization business in Alabama, and I just finished my 17th year in lawn care. So if you do those two things, you have a pretty good chance of being successful.
Why have you now awakened to how awesome it is to compound interest and watching your investments grow?
You got to have an exit strategy.
We're put on the earth to serve people. So you should never stop serving people.
If I can make money and do it in a way that is serving people, I would rather do that.
How can we find something to serve people that we actually look forward to getting out of bed in the morning and doing it?
I don't have a big business, but when I go out for the day, it's typically very profitable because I have a very tight route. Don't try to fit yourself into some box that's just not a fit for you. Just be who you are. It took me a long time to be comfortable with who I am, what skills I have, and to try to make that path work the best. And I would encourage people to do that.
Welcome to Louisville, Kentucky. I have my friend Jason Creel from Alabama. What's up, Jason?
I'm doing good, Paul. Thanks for having me. And I was thinking about this today, actually. I don't, because we're friends, and I pick on you some, you pick on me, but I don't often compliment you on your excellence in what you do. It's one of the things I like about Paul. When Paul does something, he goes about it the right way. You got the signage, he's got his books, your website, your podcast, you always excellence, and then I think just commitment to persevering and consistency. Not everybody can do that. I think that's a lesson in lawn care, actually. You know, if you do those two things, you have a pretty good chance of being successful.
Thank you, Jason. That threw me for a loop. I'm not going to mention Vanderbilt now.
Don't expect this every time we get on here, Paul. I'm not going to.
I won't even bring up Vanderbilt.
And that was pretty genuine. I really meant that. I thought about that when we were in the show the other day. I thought Paul those are the things that I think about. You know, not everybody.
That means a lot, Jason.
That. Yeah.
Thank you. Well, Jason's here with his son Carson. Wore shorts and a T-shirt. It's like 37 degrees out. Yeah, did you not bring him a hoodie?
No, that's his year-round outfit. He knows okay. But I have zero sympathy for when he gets cold.
All right. Yeah, everyone's got hoodies on and flannels, and I see Carson in his short and T-shirt. Looks like he's going to go play soccer.
He's very aware of the forecast when we leave home. He has a wardrobe, but that's what he wears.
Sticks to it. Consistency.
Year-round.
Well, thank you to our friends at John Deere. What do you think about this epic studio they built us here at the Equip Expo?
I was impressed. It looked better than last year, I thought, and they've got an impressive booth, and I'm honored that you get to man the booth the whole time. It's quite an honor for you. Yeah,
I'm very, very thankful to our friends at John Deere. Their booth, from my just eye test, it seems like it's the biggest booth at Equip by a long shot. I mean, it's a humongous booth, and then they gave us a big section rather, to podcast here. So if you're listening to the Spotify or Apple and you want to see what Jason looks like, go watch us on YouTube.
Yeah, that's what I look like.
Yeah. So how's the business going?
Well, I think it's been a good year. You know, I do about half my time I do social media stuff, mostly YouTube videos, and then half the time I run a weed control and fertilization business in Alabama, and I just finished my 17th year in lawn care, so I'm excited about that. It goes back and forth. You know, some years I think, I need to do more YouTube stuff or do more social media. And this year I find myself I like that. I'm not giving up on that, but I also see a lot of potential in my own business, and that's went well, and I enjoy doing that. So, yeah, it went well. I think there's always challenges in that from a weed control perspective. I don't know how many people understand this, but it's not always like you just go do the same thing every year. Like maybe mowing grass. You know, if you mow the yard, I think it's going to be the same yard to mow next year. It's a little bit more of a moving target when it comes to weed control. So, for instance, this year, another bad armyworm year. Last year, no armyworms. Year before that, epic armyworms. So it's not always the same. This year, chinch bugs went crazy. So I started seeing my zoysia yards looking all terrible, trying to figure out what it is at drought. I said, oh no, chinch bugs are a problem. So there's some adjustments you have to make. I think next year I'm going to have to build in an insecticide into the program, because you hate the customer be spending money on a program. You go look at the yard, there's almost no weeds, and yet the yard still looks terrible. You find out it was an insect that's about the size of the end of a pin that's eating their yard, and you can't hardly see them, and it's a chinch bug. So
fantastic, Jason. We had a a wealth advisor on the program yesterday, Nick Bartolo. I know you're very passionate about compound interest and investing. Walk us through that journey, because we're kind of late bloomers. We both are very intentional and aggressive with investing now, but I think both of us wish we would have started. Some of you guys are listening, you're 18, 24. As a lawn care business owner, why have you now awakened to how awesome it is to compound interest and watching your investments grow?
Yeah, probably a good idea to go ahead and state I'm not a financial advisor either, okay? But I don't even work with one. I just read books that they wrote and listen to them. So the reason I don't work with one, I'm not saying you shouldn't. I don't want to pay them the 1% or whatever the percent is. I think that 1%, if that compounded, that's going to be a lot of money too. So I read a book that told me that. So, but again, I'm not, at the same time, I'm not out there hand picking and choosing individual stocks and all that as much as I used to, and somehow always failed at that. So I typically just buy Vanguard funds. But what I have learned that I think is helpful, to tie it to lawn care, I did sell my first lawn care business. I didn't start lawn care until I was 27. I sold my first one 5 years in. Got the biggest check of my life, which was not that big, but it was pretty big, and spent it all and didn't invest any. And looking back, I'm like, if I would have just invested that, I would be such a better place. So yeah, I was about 40 before I really started. Well, one, had any money to invest, and then two, started seeing hey, I really got to take this serious, or I'm going to be spraying yards when I'm 85, which I'm trying not to do. So what I did actually the last 2 years has been the game changer for me, and this is not for everybody, but I did the Roth IRA. You max that out. There comes a point where you
max it out for you and your wife?
No, I probably should, but I just do it for me. But there is a point. I'm not saying, I don't know if I'm there yet or not, but you can income out of that where you're not they won't let you put money in that if you make over a certain amount. But what you can do being self-employed is what's called a SEP IRA, SEP. I would just encourage people to look into that. That was sort of a game changer for me last year, because you can put far more into that than you can a Roth. And it's based off your income. It's a percentage of it, and it's tax deductible on the front end, whereas the Roth's tax deductible on the back end. So last year I had a really good year. And think, I'm going to get killed on my taxes. And what a lot of people do is they just go buy something that they might need or might not need. I didn't want to go buy some lawn equipment that I didn't necessarily need, and I wasn't necessarily trying to grow real fast. But what I did, I sunk a whole bunch of money in this SEP IRA, greatly reduced what I owed to the government. Now, the catch is, whatever you put in there for yourself, you have to match for your employees. So it's almost ideal for somebody like me who doesn't have any employees. So if I sunk a bunch of money in there, I had employees, I had to put the same amount in there for them, which I'm not sure I could afford to do. So anyway, it was great, saved me a lot of money, and you can do it on top of the Roth, so you can have both at the same time.
Yeah, and it's the principle of where we have a lawn care business or whatever kind of business that you have, that our business should be profitable, but then taking a part of those profits and investing it into the stock market or whatnot. And legal disclaimer, I'm not a financial advisor or anything like that, but I know you mentioned the Roth IRA has a limit. It's like 170 grand or whatnot. You're kind of telling on yourself how much money you're making over there.
I don't know if I limited out or not.
But what I'm saying is, even if you are an income earner, and hopefully you are, that you make beyond that threshold, you can do what they call a backdoor Roth IRA, which, listen to my episode with Nick Bartolo. He explained how you do that. So let's say your personal income is $300,000 a year. You can still invest in a Roth IRA. You put it into the traditional IRA first, the $7 grand, and then the next day you would convert it into a Roth IRA, and that's legal.
Okay.
As of 2024. And again, it's not a disclaimer, and don't get caught up in the details. The principle of what inspires me is off air. When I'm talking to Jason on the phone, you're getting very aggressive with setting these big goals of, I want to invest X amount per month, and I'm like, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
But you're living frugal, and thankfully your business is serving and helping people, and you're making more money, but you're investing it. You're not just living high on the hog.
Well, I think it goes to a bigger question of having an exit strategy out of lawn care. Not that Paul, don't get Paul started on talking about retirement, because he'll get all worked up about that. Well, not that we're trying to retire and just quit and sit around all day, because I don't want to do that. But at the same time, you need an exit strategy, whether that be pass my business down to my son one day, whether it be sell my business. But for me, I can't. And my business not being very big is not worth that much, to be honest with you. So I think two options are: you grow a big business, sell it for millions of dollars, That's not working so well for me. So mine is, hey, make substantially more money than I need to live on and invest that. So, you got to self-retire, and I think that's why a lot of people just totally skip that. You got to have an exit strategy, and you can exit strategy, sell your business for millions of dollars or invest and grow that. And for people like if I worked for the government, let's just say, which I don't, and I retire and I've got a pension for the rest of my life. Well, that's great, but like for people like me, that doesn't. Alabama Lawn Pros doesn't offer a pension plan, so I've got to. The way I understand it, build a nest egg that ultimately one day you can live off the interest. The great thing about that is, if I die, then the nest egg is able to be passed down to future generations, where if you just have a pension and you die, the pension dies. Your kids don't get, maybe it goes to your wife, but then when she dies, it's over with. So, so anyway, I think it's a great plan, but it takes some certainly discipline and some foresight. Unless you're going to sell your business for $1 million, that takes virtually no foresight. But you got to be successful at growing a business to that point, which I haven't been able to do.
When Jason said, "Don't get Paul started on retirement," I'm going to get started. We've talked about this off air a lot. That we're put on the earth to serve people, so you should never stop serving people. And typically, when you serve somebody, they're going to pay you money, right? Our cameraman who's filming this, he's serving me. And he's going to send me an invoice, right, at the end of the week. Our audio engineer, he's serving me, and then I'm going to pay him. He's going to send an invoice. So when we serve people, typically at the end of that, there's money exchanged.
Yeah.
But with retirement, it's like, okay, I have enough money. I don't need to go serve people anymore. That's not, even if you have enough money, you should still be serving people.
Yeah.
And that's my point. Financial freedom, my goal is to get financially free, as fast as possible, by all means, but not to stop working, because as soon as you stop serving someone, you're kind of out of your purpose, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, I think if you can have a job, you don't have to necessarily wait till you retire or quit your job. I try to do that now. So I've even thought about that this year. So, I do review videos on YouTube and do my lawn bit. I'm thinking like, all of it pays pretty well, to be honest with you, and some pays a little better than others. But I thought I really want to do stuff that I feel like has a purpose to it. So, like, for instance, not a shameless plug here about the conference we do. I think that actually helps people. I thought about doing a coaching group, like a monthly coaching group, because I think when people come up to you at events like this and they say, "Hey, you're the first person we watched on YouTube that helped me get going. All right, I got into weed control and fertilization because of your video," kind of thing. Well, that is helpful. And I know the guy who mentored me, my friend James, it is essentially life-changing, because it helped me develop a business and a career for myself. So I think in some ways, like I said, if I can make money and do it in a way that is serving people, I would rather do that than just necessarily do a review on Hall's cough drops or whatever. Not that I'm opposed to doing that either. That has a purpose too. But hopefully you get what I'm saying. And having my business, I don't know. I want to make money, but I do find that if I wake up and all I'm thinking about is making money that day, that's a very, we talk about financial freedom. To me, that's captivity. I'm like a slave to making money, so I want to work and make money, but do it in some of the way that it's free.
Yeah, you want to find a way to serve people with something that you enjoy doing. So Elijah, our cameraman, you actually enjoy videography, right? To me, I don't like that. All those cables and setting up and all that stuff, to me, is stressful. That's not fun. But for you get to do something you love, and then hopefully Naylor paid you good, and I'm going to pay you good, and it's a win-win. Our audio producer, he's excellent. I think you like producing audio, correct, Mr. Producer? He's so good at it. He made an intro for our morning show today that got, the room was electric. But he got compensated, hopefully, from our friends at Equip. So, yeah, he got compensated nice for that. So, that's the secret sauce, I think, is finding something like you enjoy doing the Lawn Care Life Conference.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah. and you enjoy some of the other things you do, but how can we find something to serve people that we actually look forward to getting out of bed in the morning and doing it? But speaking of the Lawn Care Life Conference, this was the big event, Jason, the Equip Expo. By the time this podcast comes out, Equip Expo's come and gone. Hopefully you had safe fun trip at Equip. But the next big event in our industry is the Lawn Care Life Conference, February 21 through 22 in Springville, Alabama. Tell us the lineup. Tell us the new improvements for this year.
Yeah, you may have to help me because I hadn't stared at the website a little bit, but I know one of the big improvement. This was Paul's idea, and when Paul tells me something, I sometimes have to think about it hard, but it usually works out. So I've learned to trust him more. But Paul's like, we got to do a VIP, okay? So and I have come to realize that like people, they would rather stay longer and have more, even if it costs them a little bit more. And I'm thinking, when I go to Chick-fil-A, I'm looking for the cheapest thing on the menu. You know what? I'm on quantity over quality. But I said that's not how people function. So the VIP, help me remember the guy's name. Do you know?
Brandon Gray.
Brandon Gray. Okay, we got this guy named Brandon Gray, and you think, who is Brandon Gray? Well, one of the things I wanted to get away from a little bit. Not that I love the past events we have. I thought, you know what? I think what we could set ourselves apart a little bit by was bringing in these professional types. So he's part of this group, and they speak nationally and renowned, even though he's from Alabama, which is convenient for me. But he is a nationally recognized guy, and they go around like a business coach with a financial side of it. So basically the VIP, you're going to get 3 hours with him, which is something new that we haven't done before, and he'll be speaking to the general audience as well. We'll have the sponsors again. I've talked to several of the sponsors that seem very interested in coming back, plus hopefully some new ones, which we're excited about. Andy Mulder is coming. Excited. Hopefully a lot of people know him. Andy's built a very successful business. I don't want to go into his financial details, but he's doing pretty well for himself and done it in a debt-free way.
Well, it's public that he called Dave Ramsey. This is public. I was getting ready. Mr. Producer makes fun of me because I take my JBL Bluetooth speaker in the shower. But anyway, I have these waterproof speakers, so I'm sitting there taking my shower, listening to the Dave Ramsey show, and someone calls in. He's like, "Hey, I've saved up $1 million. It's just sitting in a savings account, and I don't know what to do with it." And I'm like, who's this guy? Because he said he was a landscaper. I'm like, I got to get this guy on my podcast. And then he's like, Andy from Indiana. So I texted Andy Mulder. I was like, did you call Dave Ramsey and ask what to do with $1 million that you saved? He's like, that was me. And so he's got money beyond that because his house is paid for. But just imagine, in addition to a paid-for house, in addition to a debt-free landscaping business, all those equipments that he has, in addition to all that, he saved up $1 million cash.
Yeah. Why he's got that sitting in the savings account,
he doesn't anymore. Dave Ramsey gave him some instructions to put that to work.
Losing inflation, not even keeping up with inflation. We can fuss at Andy about that. But anyway, the fact that he saved $1 million shows we have a lot to learn from him. And anyway, Andy's coming, and that was Paul's recommendation. I got to get Andy down here. So we got Andy coming. We got Allyn Hane Lawn Care Nut coming back again.
And that's the only event he does a year. Is yours pretty much.
He likes me.
He took a liking to you.
He likes me, and he likes the people, he says, too. He likes the people, the group, the down-to-earth kind of people. So who am I leaving out? But anyway, Paul's speaking this year. Excited about that.
I'm very excited, yeah.
And anyway, we should have a good time. Springville, Alabama, and tickets and all that. LawnCareLife.com. You want to check all that out.
Yeah, and Brandon Gray's from the Greg Crabtree organization. So Greg Crabtree, he's spoken at Jonathan Potoshnik's events a couple times, and Greg was unavailable that week. So he's like, I got somebody even better, Brandon Gray, who's going to come, and he's going to teach us that curriculum of how do you know if you should hire a new employee? Like mathematically, how can you say this is a smart decision or I have to wait a little longer? He's going to break all of that down. How do you measure your marketing? Like, how much money should you spend on marketing? How do you know if it's any good? He's going to break down all the practical financial parts of the business. And it's kind of a synchronization because Andy's out and done it. He's debt-free and he's successful financially, boots on the ground. And then Greg and his team, they've helped countless businesses. His book's called Big Numbers, Simple Profit, or Simple Profits, Big Profit. Simple Numbers, Big Profits, something like that.
Something like that. Simple numbers, I think.
Yeah, Simple Numbers, Big Profits.
What I like about it, and I think if I talked to Brandon, when I talked to Brandon, I think if you remember what I think I told him was like, Brandon, I'm so tired of hearing people talk about all this know your numbers stuff, and they get up there and they talk, know your numbers this, know your numbers, and I still walk away. I still don't know my number. I was like, I need, you got to make it so simple that I can look at this thing and say, when you hit this amount of revenue at this some kind of profit percentage, then you hire next person or what, you know what I'm saying? Like, I need it so laid out, and quit saying know your numbers this and know your numbers that and staring at spreadsheets and all that stuff, you know. So because I you know, in full disclosure, I don't do a lot of that stuff, but hopefully Brandon can make, if he can make it where I can understand it, then I think it'll be beneficial.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to it. So tell us the dates, the venue.
Yeah, so people don't know, my in-laws are in the wedding venue business, and have been for a long time. I try to stay away from it because it's quite hectic compared to lawn care when you got Bridezilla over there wanting what she wants all the time in the middle of the night. And anyway, they have close to 100 acres. They have 3 different venues, and that's where we host the event at Matthews Manor in Springville, Alabama. And February 21st, 22nd, I believe was the date. That's a Friday and Saturday. We did also upgrade some other things this year. We got a sponsored Chick-fil-A breakfast. I think we're talking about even after the show's over, maybe doing pizza or something, after, you know, to kind of extend the hangout time. People want to do that. So just trying to take feedback and continue to improve it year after year. We got a lot of acreage there for the sponsors. What's great about them is they bring their equipment. So we take a break. People get tired of listening to speakers all the time. So you get to go outside and ride, stretch your legs. Usually, can't guarantee it, but usually the weather in Alabama late February is pretty pleasant. You know, it may rain, may not rain, but typically over a day and a half, we usually get some time to go outside. So anyway, that's the lineup. It's all your meals are included, and it's been great, successful every time. I think we've done it 4 times. This will be the 5th time.
Cool. I'm really looking forward to it, Jason.
Yeah. You can't drive over anymore. You got to fly out from Tampa, which or Sarasota.
Maybe I'll catch a flight with Allyn Hane.
Yeah, he has a way to get there. I think he's Delta only guy.
Okay. I'm cheapest. I'm your.
Yeah, you're a Spirit.
Cheap.
I'm not cheap.
I have decided I'm not getting a ticket with them again.
Somebody told me that is in the airline industry that they would not fly Spirit, but they would fly the other really cheap one. I forget.
So Spirit. My grandpa is dying. He's in a nursing home. I knew I didn't have much time left, so I flew up to kind of say goodbye. And you know, unfortunately, it was the last time I saw him. So I'm all sad and everything, and I go to the Cleveland Hopkins Airport, and the flight's at 6 p.m. and it's saying delayed till 10. So I'm like, oh man, I got to wait up here for 4 hours. Then about 10, it says canceled. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. So then they rescheduled it for the next night at 6 p.m. So now I have to get a hotel. They didn't pay for the hotel or anything. I get a hotel that I pay for. I wait for the next day. I go back to the airport. I didn't go down and see my grandpa because I was like, it's going to be too much. I just stayed up there. The next day, 6 p.m. again, delayed till 10. I was like, here we go again. Canceled again.
Oh, man.
So then I was still running a lawn care business. So I'm like, all right, my Monday yards, this was Sunday night. So now my Monday yards didn't get done. Now it's Tuesday. My Tuesday yards didn't get done. So I had to book a flight on another airline, pay more money, and then get back.
So they're kind of the chuck in the truck of airlines.
Yeah.
Anyway, they're having their growing pains. They're about to hit their peak, Paul. Just got to give them time.
No, but my point is I'll catch a flight up from Florida. I ain't going to probably make that drive.
That's right. So anyway, things are going well, and we're excited about the event, excited about my year. I just finished my 17th year of lawn care. I feel probably more refreshed than I ever have before. I ran into, not to get off subject, I ran into Dr. Frank, and it made me think I'm actually trying to take care of myself a little better. I've been trying to eat a little better and do a little exercise. I think have more energy than I did maybe when I was even younger.
You told me off air, you don't have to share your numbers like you didn't share Andy's numbers, but you said you had your best year as a small business owner last year. Why do you think that was? Like how has it progressed to where you had that breakout year?
Well, I think in this year, 2024, it looks better than 2023. So I got a new best year, which was great. I mean, some of it has to do with social media stuff, but not exclusively. From a lawn care side, even with social media, I think I had somebody said it this morning in the show about. I think it was Jonathan Potoshnik about being like focused one day, like, hey, on Tuesday it's marketing day. Now for me being by myself, it's a little bit different than that. But there is a sense where I've tried to be very focused. He also talked about when he had a business that was at $400,000, he cut it to $225,000 and got rid of his bad customers. And so that's something that happened to me a few years ago. I streamlined a lot. I downsized my business, and by doing so, my route got extremely tight. And so I don't have a big business, but when I go out for the day, it is typically very profitable because I have a very tight route. And just continuing, even though I don't know my numbers that great, I'm looking, and I do actually have a spreadsheet this year. So for like weed control fertilization, starting to look at what is the cost of the chemicals for each application. So I do 7 rounds, and you're like, okay, well, round 1, I'm pretty cheap, so I'm making good profit. Round 2 is kind of expensive. Round 3, I'm doing good. But thinking without compromising the quality of the program, because I don't want to do that, but is there some adjustments I can make to increase my margins, and maybe without compromising quality, you have to go up on the price a little bit to make sure that you're being profitable what you're doing. And by doing that, sometimes you can just see like, okay, customer over here is just really not a profitable customer. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody's good, and it's some of those, and this is where it gets hard, especially when you're small and you've had people for a long time. Like I know in my head, customer A over here is not a good customer from a business standpoint, but it's a nice lady who used to be close to my route. Now she moved 10 minutes out of town, close to nobody. And, it still makes 0 sense from a business perspective, but I'm like, I think in some ways it's like, you know what, I can keep doing her because I have that flexibility, even though it doesn't make a lot of business sense.
Very well said. Well, Jason, is there anything we're leaving out here that you want to share with the Green Industry Podcast listeners? People love when you're on the show, too. I
don't know about that, Paul.
They do. I get compliments. I like when you have Jason on.
Well, that's good. I think I try to be as transparent as I can. Well, not transparent, but I think I try to come across somebody that they can trust. I'm not making stuff up. I don't, this is who I am, and it's what I do doesn't necessarily work for everybody else. When I hear the guys up there talking this morning, when Jonathan Potosnik talks about, I've got 12,000 clients in my part-time business that I don't even very much involve. I don't even, in some ways I could say, wow, I wish I could have 12,000. But then over time, I've kind of matured into saying, you know what, that's just not me. Like I literally don't want one employee. I don't know that I can handle it. One employee just stressed me out. But I wouldn't say go duplicate my method either. I'm saying there's some people out there that could do it my way. You got to be strategic if you're going to be solo, because there is some risk involved there. Obviously, your business is not worth near as much, but there is a path that way too, and then there's a path that way. So I just think for me, it took me a long time to be comfortable with who I am, what skills I have, and to try to make that path work the best. And I would encourage people to do that. Don't try to fit yourself into some box that's just not a fit for you. Just be who you are and be as excellent as you can at that, and try to make money, with the gifting that you have.
Awesome. He is Jason Creel, and we invite you to join us at the Lawn Care Life Conference, February 21 through 22. I think it's going to sell out pretty quickly this year, and once it's sold out, because we want to keep that intimate. But
there's a fire code. I mean, there's only a certain amount of people.
When I say get your tickets before it sells out, if you know you're going, grab your ticket today for the Lawn Care Life Conference. That link is in today's show notes, and we hope that you will join us in good old Alabama in February for the Lawn Care Life Conference. Thanks for joining me, Jason.
Always a pleasure. Thanks a lot, Paul.
See ya. Bye.